Good morning, my name is Doug Cooper and I have the honor of interviewing Mr. James W. Warren for the Veterans History Project, which is a partnership with the United States Library of Congress. Mr. Warren is a veteran of World War II and served in the United States Army. Today's date is October 30th, 2013, and we're in Lincoln, California. Also in the room is the cameraman, Bob Stackhouse, and Mr. Warren's wife, Jan Warren. We'd like to start out our interviews with a little bit about the past history. So, Mr. Warren, could we ask you to tell us when and where you were born?
Oak Park, Illinois,
And when was that?
1925, December 18th.
1925. Tell me a little bit about your family.
Well, I had two sisters, older sisters. My father was in the cement business. My mother was a homemaker. We lived in the suburb of Chicago and moved to California in 1950. Been in California ever since.
Where did you go to school?
Went to high school in my hometown of LaGrange, Illinois, and then went to University of Illinois and graduated in 4 years.
What was your school like in those days? Was it an academic school or?
Well, it was a regular high school, probably 12 or 1,500 students. Very active sports program and a good rating. The school had good rating.
Okay, then you moved out to the West Coast, and that was after your service. Is that correct?
Yes. Right.
Okay. So when you were, can you remember what you were doing when World War II started?
Oh, I was still in school.
In the university?
University of Illinois.
Okay. You remember much about December 7th, 1941?
Yeah. That's the day the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
Remember what you were doing?
1941.
How did you hear about it?
Oh, it was in news. It was all over the papers. Were very widely publicized.
So as a result of that, what did you do?
Well, I was in school. I did what the rest of the kids did. Went to school and did a job I wasn't supposed to do. Of course, we were concerned. We didn't have any friends or relatives in Pearl Harbor.
So did you have any friends or relatives that joined the service?
Well, I did, of course. Most of my best friends all enlisted. One of my best friends got the Distinguished Service Cross for service in Europe. Very, very, very well recommended him. He's one of my best friends.
So you say you enlisted. Do you remember when you enlisted?
Well, I was going to college, and 2 weeks before my birthday, I went in to see the draft dorm, and I asked him if I could have a short period of time to finish my second semester, if I could have a couple of weeks, maybe a month deferment. I was 17, and he said, yes, you can have that. So I got the deferment in the middle of February, and I went down to University of Illinois and got my degree. And I came back, worked for Wilson Sporting Goods, and we moved to California.
Okay, but in the meantime, you had gone into the service during the war, and you enlisted there in Chicago? Okay, where did you go from Chicago? Where did they take you for training?
Oh, well, we went to Fort Dearborn in Chicago, and then we took a train to the middle of Oregon, Camp Abbott. It's a combat engineer training center.
What was your training like in Illinois?
Oh, high school, regular high school training.
For basic training?
Yeah.
And so did they give you the marching and physical training and all that there?
No, not much there. It was just basic sports. Is about all it was.
So you left Illinois, and then you went to Oregon for more training.
No, I left Illinois after the war.
After the war, okay, but
Yeah,
when you enlisted in the Army, then
Yeah.
you were in Illinois for a little while, and then you went out to Oregon?
yeah, I was only in Fort Dearborn in Chicago for about 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then we boarded a train for Central Oregon, where there's a combat engineering training center called Camp Abbott,
Okay.
out in the middle of nowhere.
What was it like there?
Oh, very bare. I mean, it was evergreens and things, but it was not moderate like the coast, a little colder. Very desolate, nothing there but trees, no people. Bend, Oregon was the closest city, and that wasn't a big city then.
What kind of living conditions did you have? Did you have barracks or tents? Barracks?
Mm-hmm.
And what were your duties like there?
Well, I was taking my basic training, and that took care of everything that was expected of me. I didn't get any rating there, I was just a private.
So how long did you spend there?
Oh, for 3 months probably.
And the result, they made you a combat engineer.
No, the whole camp was combat engineers.
Combat engineer.
Yeah, the whole
Okay.
thing. Then after Camp Abbott, we were transferred to Fort Lewis in Washington. The day that we headed by train to Fort Lewis, a train full of prisoners of war pulled into our camp. They took over our camp. And some of them were shipped back to my home state. I saw some of them in my hometown. So the prisoners were coming over here, a lot of them.
So Camp Abbott became a prisoner of war camp
After we were through.
after you were through there, okay.
Mhm.
That's interesting. I had never heard that there was a prisoner of war camp up in that area.
It's very desolate. They couldn't go anywhere if they escaped.
So you went from camp, what kind of training did they give you to become a combat engineer?
Well, we got the basic training that infantryman got, because combat engineers sometimes are called on to do infantry duty. We worked with explosives. We were taught how to throw a grenade. How I remember that they said you take a foxhole, get in it, and the tank's going to run over the foxhole. If you're not deep enough, you're going to get run over. Well, I dug my pit, got down in it, and a guy comes up with a tank, opens the light tank. He says, "Soldier, you better dig a deeper ditch, because if I run over you, you'll be history." So I dug a deeper ditch, came back and rolled over over that. Then another thing that was kind of earth-shattering was we were in house-to-house combat, and they taught us to stay back in the corner. They had silhouettes that popped up. We had live ammunition, and I ran into this room like the guy back there in the shade, back out of sight. I came in the door here to get over to my corner. He shot seconds before I missed getting shot in the head by 2 or 3 seconds either way, maybe 4 seconds. That was the closest call I had at any time. Then we had the infiltration course, which is about 150 yards. You crawl on your stomach for 150 yards, and there are machine guns lined up there that have a trajectory that's just like this. So if you stand up, you're going to get shot. Of course, we knew that the guys, if they saw somebody stop, they'd stop. But you had to still make that 150 yards on your stomach, experiencing the fact that the machine guns were there.
Going off over your head, yeah.
Yeah, it was still an uncomfortable feeling. And we had something else that was important. I say throwing a grenade.
No. You learned to throw grenades as well?
Pardon me?
You learned how to throw hand grenades?
Yeah. We learned to build bridges. The Chutes River has a speed of about 9 to 10 feet per second. and we put the Bailey Bridge across that. Bailey Bridge is metal, put together. We also put combat, actually they were boats. They're little boats that we anchored together. And
Kind of a floating bridge?
yeah, floating bridge, and then there's a pontoon bridge. Those three that we learned to put across the river, a 9-mile-an-hour speed, fast river, and we took them down. And one day we put it up and then take it down. So we got pretty intense training at that center.
So how long did it take you to put one bridge across?
Well, we were here one day and took
One
it
day?
back. Yeah, we had a whole company of men to do
Okay.
that. Yeah.
And the bridge parts came in on a truck or something like that?
I can tell you they're there waiting
They
for
were
us
there.
to come and
Okay.
take them. Yeah, it's kind of just kind of a untrafficked area. It's really kind of remote.
Tell me a little bit about what camp life was like. What was your daily routine?
Well, get up, have early chow, and then we had different things that we did. Close order drill, rifle range, all the stuff that you need to know to get assigned in the mess hall, kill or be killed. And it was kind of instilled that in our minds.
How was the chow?
Average of the first day, probably the first or second day we were there, since Fort Lewis. We came into the mess hall, sat down, and up front there's the officer's table, and then the kitchen is in here. So Captain WWII was our commander for that area. He picked up his plate and he threw it up against the wall. He says, "I can't eat this junk. I said, don't expect my men to eat it either." From there on, he was our hero. We would do anything for him. Might have been staged, I don't know. But he had our attention. Stuff like that. I mean, I remember stuff like that. You know.
So you were there, what were your off-duty, did you have any off-duty time in the evening or?
Well, we could get a pass to a little town not far away called Bend, maybe 1,000 people. We'd go to town on pass for overnight, and the people in town would take us in. You know, I was sleeping in the house because we were very patriotic. We could only get a pass, not every, yeah, man, most weekends we could go on in at town. That was nice.
Did they have anything on the base for you to do, like movies or?
Oh, they have movies. In fact, I was in a boxing tournament. I was asked to fight at heavyweight rating. I was 180. They needed a heavyweight for its boxing team. So he said, "Sure, I'll do that." So the night of the fight, all the guys from camp were there. This is for their benefit. I'm in a locker room getting ready, and this big guy comes in. I knew who he was. And he was going to be my opponent. He was a real heavyweight, and I'm a light heavyweight. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to attack him. I'm not going to wait for him to come after me. So we're sitting in the locker room, and he says, "Warren," said, "I heard you have a devastating left hook." I knew he was setting me up. I said, well, no, I won't hurt you. I'll be easy on you. So he's doing a little bit of psychology. So we get out in the ring, all these guys are there watching, and bout starts. I rush out there to him and get belted. And I boxed him out the best I could. He had a longer reach than I did. I got a couple punches on him. I didn't do too much damage. So second round, my second said, "Stay away from his left hook, Warren." I said, "I'm trying to." So I go back, I'm trying to attack this monster, and he belts me pretty good. I got a couple belts in. I didn't run from him, I tried to get something in, steady him off a little bit. Finally, the third guy comes up, he said, "How am I doing?" I'm getting hammered. He says, Warren says, keep doing what you're doing. They knew I was going to get cream. So I go back to the third round, and this guy's got me in a corner. He's belting me, and the officer, that's the referee, stopped the fight. I called him every name in the book. He didn't hold it against me. But he came into my life later when we were doing an exercise, bivouac, and I was captured because I was one of the attacking. I had to climb up a high cliff to reach these guys out over in bivouac. So we're all in this room, kind of a small building. 10 of us, we were all captured. And so this lieutenant that had stopped the fight comes in and he says, "Who threw that grenade into my tent?" He burned my air mattress. I let out a laugh because all his men were sleeping on the ground. I come out of the house, I was really laughing. He says, "Did you do that?" And my lieutenant that was leading this raid says, name, rank, and serial number. That's all I gave him. So he went out, but he was mad because of his. Can you imagine that? That was the same guy that I met before. So.
To stop the fight.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was good that he stopped the fight.
It was. I gave all I could give it. But there's another thing that we had to do in basic training. We had a sadistic colonel for World War I, and they had big circles like this, maybe 15 feet across with tan bark. And once a week, this squad would fight this squad from different companies to hit the guy from the other company. He hit to last man standing. It was really just to get us to be more aggressive. So some of them stepped right out of the ring without getting hit. I was always the last man standing. And one time I got my ear cut by a blow, so they put tape on it. I went back in, but that was a way of just colonels getting us in a fighting mode. And some of these guys, checking out, but I stayed to the course. And these kind of things helped me later. I could tell you about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Were you able to keep in touch with your family while you were there?
Oh, sure. Regular, yeah. They were in Chicago and I was in Oregon. So
you had the old U.S. mail.
Yeah, very close family. Yeah.
And what did your family do while you were there? Were they?
Well, my sisters were out of college. My dad was in the cement business. My mother was a homemaker. She played golf, good golfer. So we had a very good home life, very nice suburb, good friends, very good place to live.
Okay. So you're about ready to finish the engineer's course there and basic training at the same time?
Yeah.
What options did you have after that, or did they just...
Well, I finished the 17 weeks. Then he asked me to go to officers training, OCS. I said, "Sir, I'm only 18. I don't feel qualified to lead a company." He said, "Okay, how about taking a 17-week training, the guys that come to the same basic training that you had?" That's fine, because I thought the war was going to go on forever, and I'd get another 17 weeks training other guys. But by training, I would learn a lot more than I did just initially. So
So you stayed at Abbott?
yeah, stayed at Abbott until those prisoners came in. Then we were transferred to Fort Lewis, Washington.
Okay.
One of my fondest memories was we all marched on 4th of July, our whole battalion, in Seattle, on Main Street in Seattle, 4th of July. That's one of my fondest memories.
So what was going on at Fort Lewis?
Continuation of our basic training. Then I went from there by train to New York, to the port of embarkation, and I was shipped to Europe as a replacement. And we got into Glasgow, Scotland. I was on Queen Elizabeth, which holds maybe 8,000 troops, maybe 10,000. So,
So let's digress just a bit.
yeah,
And talk a little bit about Fort Lewis in
Yeah.
those days.
yeah,
That was a pretty big
big camp.
camp.
Yeah.
What was your duties like there?
Well, we were still doing basic training for a while, and then they're getting ready to send us overseas. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. We had a couple weeks training, a regular thing. We were qualified with the M1 rifle, things like that, just basic stuff.
Did you have to do KP
Yeah, once in a while.
and guard duty?
But we didn't have to do guard duty.
You didn't have to do guard
No,
duty.
no.
Okay. So how long did you stay at Fort Lewis in total?
Oh, maybe 3 months.
3 months?
2 or 3 months.
Okay. Then you say you got on a train and you went to New York.
Yeah, went overseas on the Queen Elizabeth
Okay, whereabouts did you embark?
from New York. Well, not New York City, but there was a town right next to New York City where the ships went out. And Queen Elizabeth holds it, maybe 8 to 10 soldiers. They converted it to a troop ship. So an example is they took the ballroom and put double deck bunks in there. They converted everything. We have 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner. Breakfast and dinner because they couldn't feed. And there was so many troops on the ship they couldn't feed them 3 meals. So that was about a 5-day journey, and they changed course every 5 to 6 minutes to avoid submarines. And they run faster than an escort. So they got to Glasgow, Scotland in about 5 days. And then we got on a train to Southampton, which is on the English Channel. And we crossed the channel at night. We stayed at the camp right up there, which is right on the coast. But when I got on the ship that crossed the channel, which is about 20 miles, I was asked to stand guard duty. And they put me up in the tower where there was a gun mount before. It was for me to walk around this walkway carrying an M1 rifle, pitch dark. And I'm supposed to spot a submarine. So I'm thinking, I'm in this army, I don't like this. What's the reason they're doing this? So it's really crazy. But we landed in Le Havre, and they had Red Cross girls waiting to give us coffee. And we boarded the 40 and 8 boxcars. You know what they are? They're
Yes.
40 men or 8 horses, one or the other. They're from World War vintage. And we went from there to a town in Belgium called Viviers. There's a rebel depot, which is a replacement depot. We stayed there for 4 or 5 days. An interesting story took place there that amazed me. We went to town and went into this bar, and the man's picture, a soldier's picture on the bar behind the bartender. And we said, "Who's that?" He said, "That's my son. He was captured in 1940 by the Germans." Oh, that's too bad. So we went out, came back maybe the next night, or it's 2 nights. Here's this youngest man behind the bar. That was his son. The Germans were defeated where the camp was, where he was being held. Here's his son from 1940 to 1944.
He was back home.
Back home. We had stories like that happen all the time. Amazing.
So tell us a little bit about, after you left the British Isles and you went to Le Havre, and that's where you got this reception by
Yeah,
the Red Cross
right,
ladies.
yeah.
And then you got on the
Train,
40 and 8 cars,
to a
okay.
town of Verrières in Belgium. the next stop was a rebel depot tents near the Maginot Line. Well, you know what that is. So we didn't search all through Maginot Line because we had some time and got to know that. Then we went by bus, by truck, to another rebel depot in Worms, Germany. And then the next stop was rebel depot in Metz. And war's still going on. We're getting closer to where the action is. And the next stop was Garmisch. And I went from Garmisch. That was my ultimate movement. I'd say Garmisch till the war ended.
Garmisch is in the mountains.
Yeah, in the mountains.
What was the time of year you were there?
It was March
March?
or April.
It
Yeah.
was probably still pretty cold then.
Yeah, it was still cold. I have to show you I'm pretty proud of this. I brought it. I don't think I brought it. Yeah. This was a,
That's your unit patch.
yeah, that's the 36 Combat Engineer Regiment, that's their patch. And this is the, what they wore on your sleeves.
Oh, okay.
I was
Can you
very
hold
proud.
that? Can you hold that up and he'll
Sure.
Just sort of stretch it out on your arm there and I can
Yeah.
zoom in on it. No, I mean just hold it out. Hold it out so I can see it.
Okay.
There you
There you
go.
go.
I can zoom in on it. Oh, that's very good. Is that a seahorse on there?
Yeah.
And what is the pin?
Pin's the same
That's
thing.
Oh, the pin is the same thing.
That's the smaller version of that.
Okay.
That's a former-
Very nice.
This outfit made 4 invasions and 5 campaigns. They landed in North Africa, went to Salerno, Antio, southern France. Those were the invasions. And they had a total of 6 or 7 campaigns that led up to the Rhine River. Of course, I wasn't part of that. I was part of this after the war ended by about 4 days.
So you got there about 4 days before the war ended? Is that,
No, after the war ended. I joined my outfit there 4 days after the war ended.
after the war ended?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spent the rest of the time there until I went home.
So what was your duties like at Garmisch?
Well, just basic duties.
Were you doing any bridge building or anything like that, or?
I don't think bridge building. Maneuvers, different kinds of things, just wasn't there too long.
Did
Went
you,
home.
yeah, did you see a lot of German prisoners and?
Yeah, we should. I'm glad you asked that question because where, I forget which place we were. I think it was probably Garmisch. We had prisoners. No, it wasn't Garmisch because I think it was. We had prisoners that we supervised. 2 of us in a 6x6 truck with about 8 prisoners. We took them out and guarded them while they repaired damaged roads, gravel roads. And there's 2 of us guarding these 8 to 10 guys that are working. And one of these days, we went back several days. One of these days, 2 women came out. One of them says, "That's my husband. Would you like to go in the trees for a little while to get reacquainted?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "Just get out of here." That was one of the funny things that happened. And then we helped guard the prisoners while they blew up 2 farming industry plants that made munitions. So we totally, with the prisoners, blew up the 2 plants, and one of our prisoners got killed, which is a process.
So this was so that the Germans couldn't produce any more
Yeah,
weapons.
right, yeah.
So how long did you stay there?
In Garmisch
Mm-hmm.
until late March or early April,
Of
45.
45,
Yeah.
okay.
I came home from there back to Chicago,
Okay, and you received your discharge.
yeah.
Okay. So did you make quite a few friends while you were in the service?
Oh, yeah. When I joined my outfit, the last outfit, this one, the older guys shied away from me because they've been through all hell. And there was a couple of guys that were like me, were replacements. They took me under the wing kind of, because these guys just resented me because I came after the war ended. So I made good friends there. Even some of the older guys got friendly because I was nice. I didn't get mad at them. I just put up with it. And I went on until I went home. But I made some good friends there.
Did you keep in touch with these guys after the war?
One of them, Gene Larrabee, who lived in Milwaukee, he and I stayed pretty close. The other guys are scattered. I don't think I kept up with any of the other ones.
So what was it like coming home?
It's great. We're on a smaller ship, of course. War was over, so it kind of took a lot of more time than in Queen Elizabeth, probably 7 days. And I did meet a good guy there that I kept in touch with for a couple of years. He and I had things in common, college and stuff like that.
Oh, did you go to a concentration camp while you were there?
I did. One of my friends had said, they're gonna go to Dachau on the following Sunday. Would you like to join us? I said, yeah. So we drove over to Dachau, and they had 2 prisoners that were freed as kind of guides. They had a pile of shoes as high as this room, a little higher. They're not quite that high. Of shoes, they took the shoes off the people. The trains came in loaded with the German Jews. They got out of the train, they took them over to the gas chamber, and they had just like a shower. They said they were going to give them a shower. So they took their shoes, because they were going to take a shower, and they turned on the gas, killed them. And then they took them out, there's 2 or 3 ovens here. They took the corpses over to these ovens and cremated them. So we all thought, the good thing, we won this war, we take care of these people. This is just terrible. It's very depressing, but it showed us how evil and nasty we were.
Mm-hmm.
So the war we fought was justified, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So any other memories of Germany while you were there? Any other significant?
Well, yeah, the biggest thing that happened that was good was I made a friend of the corporal. It was in charge of passes. We had passes that could go places. And one day, company commander came into this friend of mine. He says, "Who do we know that knows how to ski?" And this guy says, "Well, Warren's a skier." I wasn't much of a skier. I was basic, you know. He says, "Well, get him. We've got a jeep ready to take him to the Zugspitze, which is the highest mountain in Germany. There's a hotel there, and we took over the whole town, and the hotel, and everything. So I got there Monday morning. They had already started Sunday because I was someplace else on Sunday. So I'm watching these guys walk around circles, joined them, and we had a week of training there, and we skied down to Garmisch, the town. We took over the town pretty much, and climbed the second highest mountain in Germany, the Alpspitze. And we had sealskin on the surface of our skis so we can walk uphill. And we got halfway up, we had 2 Germans as instructors. They were cleared by our people. They weren't Nazis and they were just regular soldiers. They were our trainers. So we got about halfway up. One of my skis came off, went down the hill, about 100 yards, and here, we were above the tree line. His little snag here, and stopped. So this one German instructor was next to me, looking at it, says, "There it is, go get it." So he was good scared. He went down there and got it, brought it back. And we climbed to the top of the Alps, and we went down and went back to our basic where we were.
What was the purpose of this ski trip? Just to
Give us some experience.
I'll give you some experience.
It was just
Okay.
one day up and down. So when I got back to Chicago, I wanted to get into the retail business, basically skiing. So I went to Wilson Sporting Goods, learned about the sporting goods, and I decided after about a year, the rent for a place in this loop in Chicago, out of sight, anywhere in the city was beyond what I could foresee. So I gave up. I didn't give up skiing, but I gave up the idea of having a ski retail outlet. And shortly after that we moved to California. I became better skier. In fact, the Army classified me as an expert skier when I was in the Army, still in the Army. So that was my only good thing that happened. I was lucky.
Okay, so you came home to Chicago,
Yeah.
and you
Went to the University of Illinois.
went to the University of
Illinois.
finished your degree.
Yeah. This is interesting. Before I signed up, I was 17. I went to University of Illinois and finished one semester. I started second semester. I went to the draft board when I'm 17. I said, "Would you give me a little time so I can finish my second semester and have a place to live when I come back?" They said, "Sure, we'll put you on inactive reserve." So 2 weeks came up and I went back to college to finish up. I got called up in the middle of February, but I took the initiative through my whole experience, boxing, whatever I had to do. I was told by friends, so-called friends, before I joined the Army, said, "Don't ever volunteer for anything." That was their advice. I didn't take it. I volunteered for everything. Because of that, I got this job as a corporal training the men. I realized that I showed initiative in everything I did. So that worked out real well.
Okay, so you finished your degree, and then had you met your wife by that time, or?
Well, shortly after, we moved to, we were still in Southern California, and I was dating this one girl. They lived in Long Beach. I lived in San Marino, which is about an hour's drive. So, and with this girl that was on my date, I looked over here, and this visitor and the white beings who came down the stairs, they're going swimming in the ocean at midnight. I said to my dad, I said, "Who was that?" She said, "Well, that's just Janet Williams, this one." So that started our romance. These girls moved to San Diego. I followed her until I could get her to marry me. So we've been married 60 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did she know that you were interested?
Well, I called her up when we all got home. I called her up to take her out on a Friday night. And she says, "Oh, I can't go out Friday, that's a PTA meeting." I'm thinking, oh yeah, right, they have PTA meetings on Fridays. So that was my first turn down. I just stayed with it. And they finally, well, we went to San Francisco I was with some friends, was at the top of the Mark Hotel. And she said, we've been going to dating for quite a while. She said, when are you gonna ask me to marry you? I says, when I get married, it's gonna be my idea. The worst thing, can you imagine me saying that? She put up with that. So we got married after a few more months and,
When was that?
oh, let's see, what year? 50, 50.
August,
Hmm?
August
August 1950, what?
3,
53, yeah.
and we just had our 60th.
Yeah.
See, we have her here to make sure you tell the truth.
I'm telling it so far.
Okay, so you were still in California. Whereabouts in California did you two settle down?
Well, we settled in Redwood City.
Okay,
I was transferred from LA. I was transferred up to the Bay Area, and we moved in not Redwood City, but San Jose. Then we moved to Redwood City because of territory. I was getting new territories every 6 months because I was opening up business for the company. Then we moved to Marin County, and I was asked to take over the whole coast as a regional manager. So I had from Washington down to Texas. So they put me in charge of all that, hiring salesmen and training them and everything. And that went on till we moved up to the Bay Area. Let's see, not the Bay Area, but yeah, I left that business to go on my own with my son.
okay. You had, when did you have children?
Pardon me?
How many children have you had?
We've had 3,
3?
and 1 girl and 2 boys.
They were born in the 50s, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, my oldest son is a reporter on Channel 10. If you watch Channel 10, you'll see George Warren.
George Warren is your son.
Yeah,
I'll be darned.
that's my oldest son. I have a younger son that has his own business, very good business, dealing in storage with pallet racks. He takes care of warehouses and things like that. And our daughter is a principal of all the principals in Chico. She just heads all of them. She supervises all the principals
Oh,
in Chico.
okay.
So all 3 of my kids are productive. And my oldest son has 1 boy, 1 girl. My daughter has 2 boys, and my son, yeah, my daughter in Chico has 2 daughters. And my son in San Jose has 1, and my other son has a girl and a boy. No great-grandchildren.
No great-grandchildren yet?
Her daughter in Chico will be producing one pretty soon.
Wonderful.
That'll be a grandparents, but we aren't great-grandparents yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She doesn't know that yet.
how am I doing?
He wants to be a great.
I remember a lot of things.
So, yeah, how did you end up in Sun City?
Our kids are all up here, and we decided it was time to be closer to them, and we are. So that was the only motivation. That's 10 years ago.
And so you are pretty happy here?
Yes, very much,
Good.
very much.
Well, is there anything that we've missed that we should talk about, or anything that you think we should elaborate on a little bit more?
I think we hit, I could tell you the motto that we had when I was in the Army. They had a sign in a mess hall, it says, "Kill or be killed." I remembered that, because that was something that motivated us.
Were you able to use any of your GI benefits?
Yes. I started 1 year, so I had 3 years on a GI Bill.
You ever get a GI loan on a house?
No,
Oh, okay.
been able to finance our own self.
You seem to have epitomized the good citizen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We really appreciate your taking the time to do this for us.
Enjoyed it,
If anything else comes to mind, please feel free to interject it now. And
yeah. Everything's good.
Rollerblading, rollerblading.
Oh,
Rollerblading.
I was a rollerblader. I
Until
was
he
the only
got
rollerblader
Parkinson's.
in Sun City. Still is to no rollerblader. I was the only one, and I quit doing it 3 years ago. Quit skiing 4 years ago. I quit rollerblading 3 years ago because I'm 87, and I didn't think it was smart to
Parkinson's,
do it. Get injured.
Parkinson's too.
I have Parkinson's.
Little Parkinson, okay.
4 years, 4 years.
Well, it sounds like you've had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I'm totally happy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, had a great life. Still good.
Well, again, thanks from the Library of Congress, and especially
Sure.
us, for very interesting. And,
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for participating in the Veterans
I
History
enjoyed it.
Project.
I'm glad I could.